Hey everybody, Stu Smith here, going live, taking some questions, and I will also share some new CSS videos to you, maybe critique some. And if you ever have any videos you want me to critique, here's what I want you to do. You can email it to me, you can DM it to me in my Instagram account, StuSmith50. You can post it up on YouTube and send me the link. It's up to you how you want to do it. Happy to download it. And then I will always send you a personalized version of what's right and what's wrong. Maybe send in some links to you to read and watch. But then, unless you tell me not to, I will or will not post it. I get so many, I only post maybe 5% of the ones I get. Happy to do that. If you're going to do it though, make sure you can see yourself swimming in it. Don't send me one that I'm kind of guessing for about 40 seconds of a 50-second video what you're doing. So if you can't see yourself swimming in it, I can't either. Let's see. Start building some comments up here. Feel free to ask. So the best way to do that is just have somebody walk along with you, turn the phone sideways so you can actually see your whole body in it. And just walk along, down and back. All I need to see is 50 yards. If you want to change sides, that's great. I can check out both sides. If you want to just do your strong side, that's cool too. Do a following one maybe with Finn so I can see the difference. And yeah, that's how it works. So I get a lot of emails from folks who are 18 years old and are in delayed entry program and struggling to pass the PST to get to buds. Let me just say right now, you're already breaking two of my recommendations / rules when you send me an email like that. One, don't talk to a recruiter until you're ready to crush the PST, because when you take it and you ace it, they're going to take you seriously. You take it and you're a perennial failure week after week after week, no one takes you seriously, right? Do you want to be taken seriously? And do you want recruiters calling you back? Well, you probably do. Otherwise, you're going to call them and they may get back to you in a week or so. It's a mess. So take it seriously. Take your preparation seriously. Crush that PST on day one of your first PST, and life's really simple after that. All you have to do now is maintain that PST and focus on the most important phase of this tactical fitness journey, getting through the training. So unfortunately, the other issue being 18 years old is that the statistics are set up against you so badly. 80 to 90% of the attrition rate are people in their teens that are just woefully unprepared, not only physically to meet the standards of 4-mile timed runs and 2-mile ocean swims and all the weekly tests that you have to take in first phase, drown proofing, life saving, underwater knot tying, 50-meter underwaters, drown, whatever. Those things, you have to meet a standard. You have to pass those. What gets most people are 4-mile timed runs, believe it or not. So they're just not prepared for that. And then logs and boats, and that's brutal as well. So in the first 4 weeks, typical classes will lose over half of the people. Recently, they've lost 75, 80%. I think this last class had close to 90%. Now, given that as a winter hell week, that's kind of typical in the high 80s. Throughout the years, it's always been like that. So be interesting to see if the manning of the teams being overmanned is affecting the amount of people who graduate buds right now when we have a summer class. Chances are still going to be tough. Buds is tough, and it always has been. However, when they need people, they tend to graduate more people. They can break you if they need to break you. But anyway, they don't care, right? They want you to make it, but they don't want to give it to you. So you need to be prepared to and through the training. In fact, I wrote an article why I don't recommend young people who are immature, not finished growing yet, go to buds. Because one, you're going to be part of the attrition. Statistically speaking, there's always a few that prove me wrong. And there's the article that I put into the description, I think. Might not have, but I'm putting it into the comment section here. It's called The Perfect Storm for Failure. And typically, the younger guys do this. Now, there are older guys that fail, but the classes are huge with 18-year-olds before Hell Week. After Hell Week, you might have a handful of 18-year-olds left. And then at graduation, you probably have a couple. So that's how it looks. Just talking statistics and facts. If you don't want to hear that, I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you, if you're 18 years old, don't be in a hurry to go to buds. That is my standard line. And I want you to prove me wrong. But I also want you to live in reality and understand what statistics mean. And chances are really slim that you're going to make it. Joe asked, third phase timed run, is that a beach? Also, no, there's not a 4-mile beach at the island. Your first 4 in third phase are on the beach because you're still in Coronado, but your 5 weeks, I guess, at the island is not. It's actually on roads. So most of the time you're going to run in tennis shoes on the pavement out there, but you'll be doing a whole lot of stuff. You'll be rucking a lot, be swimming, longer swims out there, but it's fun. It's crystal clear water. It's so nice. It's cold, but it's nice. Let's see. Just bought your Air Force Special Operations book. Let's see if I have a copy of that. I might have one. By the way, since I have these extra copies here, I'm not shipping stuff from my office anymore. It gets drop shipped from the printer service. If you order, in fact, I'll do. If you order the ebook version of this, I will ship it to you for free. But I only have 2, so don't think you're going to get it. I'm going to offer it to you if I have them. So I have a few books that I am. If you buy the ebook, I may offer you the book version for free because I'm clearing out my office of books. I used to have 40 boxes of books in here that we would ship out, but I don't have time to do that anymore. So we are focusing on other elements and just changing the business model a little bit. A lot more podcasts, by the way. All right. So I'm sorry. Your question is, what would you say are the key differences between approaching fitness between those 2 books? Great question. The Air Force PST program is more focused on actual PST, but I did update it this past year and added the OFT in it as well. It's a new test that you're going to take somewhere in the pipeline, prep or the actual training pipeline after selection. And it's a more of a lifting workout. It's kind of like the CFT of the Army. So you'll deadlift and do some other exercises similar, sprints and stuff like that. So this one is geared towards the pass test and the OFT. The other one is more of a winter lift cycle that focuses on 3 weeks of strength training, followed by 1 week of calisthenics and cardio. And what this is really good for doing is you focus 3 weeks of getting stronger, all the lifts that are typical. and then you spend 1 week of deload focusing on calisthenics and maintaining your pass scores. And what we found was, after the second year of doing that, we found that people were getting stronger with squats and deadlifts and body weight bench, especially. 1 rep mac bench, we did a little bit of, but not a whole lot. Maybe twice in 12 weeks, maybe 16 weeks. But we were trying to get everybody's body weight bench up into the double digits. You know, some even hit 20. I had 15, by the way, so I was pretty happy with that. And weightlift and weighted pull-ups, try to get those higher as well. So that's kind of the focus of the 3 weeks. And then you spend 1 week kind of take off the weights and just do calisthenics and cardio. And that was enough of a deload to come back and be a little bit stronger in the lifts, but it was also a really good maintenance to a point of people were improving their PST scores, not only the calisthenics portion, but even the runs and swims. And I have to be honest, that was one of the first times in a winter lift cycle where people were getting faster in their runs, because we usually just kind of focus on strength, power, speed, and agility, and rucking, load-bearing stuff in the fall and winter. However, by adding that 3-to-1 block periodization, it worked really well for folks that really needed to maintain / improve a little bit on their PSTs or pass tests. So that is my new model. Like every winter from now on, I'm doing a 3-to-1 cycle. We would basically do that with the other lift cycles that we would do over the last 20 years, because you would always kind of need a deload week thrown in there, and you just kind of change, you know, intensity and weight and all that, just changed it up a little bit for that week, added more mobility stuff. But this one had more of a focus. The deload week had more of a focus for that person preparing for these jobs, because you need to ace the PST and pass test, but you also need to get strong, need to get fast, need to be a little more durable when it comes to load bearing activities, rucking, logs and boats and things like that. So that's the difference. So sorry for the long question and answer session on that one, but thanks for asking, because it allowed me to explain it a little more detail. Is rucking third phase the same as Rangers? No. You will still ruck at third phase, but at Ranger school, you will never have a ruck probably off your back very often. You will constantly be rucking. Same for Army SF guys. Those guys ruck all the time, to the point of where you just can't, you don't even take it off, right? I mean, taking it off is an oddity. Let's see. Hello, during all the selection process, do you manage to quickly learn and master new skills while being exhausted, while under pressure? Yes, that's what these workouts are for, actually. So you can go into those selection programs and not be mentally whipped that you can't take on new challenges and new tactical skills that you have to replicate in a day. You might learn something in the classroom, then you have to apply it in real life, whether it's land nav or scuba diving, navigation, shooting. You know, all of those things require a very steep learning curve, and you going into it with a high level of conditioning enables you to be able to learn, versus being so whipped that your brain just shuts down and you can't pick up new skills. So usually after Hell Week, though, you've managed to adapt to that type of stress pretty well. Good question. Let's see, in your spring, summer, let me see if I got this. Your spring, summer PT cardio cycle, and fall winter lift cycles. Is the target audience spec ops guys? Good question. Or can it be guys older like me, 40, and attempt these programs also? Well, I will tell you, when I say Stu Smith's spring and summer PT cardio cycle, this is what I do, right? I do this with my guys that are preparing for all these spec ops jobs. So yes, you can do it at an older age level. I just know that there are some things that I'm not going to be as fast at, like running and rucking. Still do it, just not as fast as the younger guys are on legs that are literally 3 times younger than my legs. So that's something I have to deal with. However, swimming, calisthenics, lifting, I can hang with even the young guys. But I'd say if one thing's deteriorated, it would be sprint speed and goal pace running speed. Still doing 7-minute mile stuff, you know, with a challenge, but I prefer 8-minute miles now, but I still get the miles in. So I just tell the guys to circle back for me if they don't see me behind them, make them run a little more to group everybody up. Good question, though. I was referring specifically to the 24 fall week. Yes, I get it. Yeah, these are my workouts that I do with my guys every day. So, is pasta good for nutrition? Yes, it's a good form of carb. I would get the whole wheat kind. If you look on the back of the whole wheat side, you'll see, or multigrain pasta. There's actually a good amount of protein in there as well compared to just the white pastas. In fact, what I want you guys to do is go to my YouTube channel and check out the latest podcast we did. And I will actually put it in there if it pops up. It's moving a little slow. I just brought on Lieutenant Colonel Nick Behringer again. He's an Army colonel, lieutenant colonel, and he is a brilliant PhD in nutrition, performance nutrition. He's also a graduate of Ranger School. So we had a great discussion, and the title of this one is Nick Behringer Talking Nutrition for Testing and Selection. You got to watch that last podcast, and I'm putting it in the comment section here. Should be a link to it. Really good. It was a little less than an hour, but we talked about the day before a PT test, the day of, and the during of a fitness test, and after, to recover from not only a regular workout but long days of selection training as well. And he had some great tips for Ranger School. I had some of my tips that I did for extra calories going through buds. It was just a fun discussion, a very smart discussion with a PhD in nutrition on, fueling yourself for these types of challenges. So I'd highly recommend watching that. If you don't feel like watching it on YouTube, you can go to the Tactical Fitness Report on audio platforms that have podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, and you'll find podcast number 219, Talking Nutrition with Nick Behringer. Highly recommend it. But yes, it's good. I love pasta. In fact, I lean more towards a Mediterranean style diet program. I'm not scared of pasta. I'm not scared of garlic bread. Absolutely love it. But I eat a lot of good lean meats and a ton of fruits and vegetables. And those give me a lot of energy for 2-hour workouts in the morning, maybe a second workout later in the day, something easy, usually on the round 2. And I'm 53, still getting after it, feeling pretty good. I'm attempting some flutter kicks with a charged mask. Oh, those are fun. I do not miss those with a minimum success. Any tips for being more successful and not constantly suck in water? You got to learn how to be a mouth breather. Try to play around with the positioning of your tongue on the roof of your mouth to see if that can stop some of the flow of water that's hanging out in your nose and mask area. And yeah, see if that works. You can figure it out. You just need to practice it a little bit. But that will help you learn how to be a mouth breather. And unfortunately, many of these ocean swims and scuba diving, you're all a mouth breather. Unless you get a full face mask, then you can be a nose breather. We had full face masks during when we were driving mini subs, and you just had the whole thing covering it, so you could actually be a nose breather for part of the dive if you needed to. Let's see. Mr. Smith, do you ever have any side stroke swimming seminars in Southern California? I'm not in Southern California very often. I am every now and then. I think last time I went was probably about 3 years ago. But you have a better chance of finding me on the East Coast in Maryland. Most people come to me, to be honest with you. But no, I don't. You send me a video, though, I will critique it for you. Let's see. Jake recommends pasta over rice in terms of making you run faster. I don't know about that, but it is a good carb for energy. Running faster will be a combination of both energy and your training. But yeah, we all have our own things that work for us. My suggestion is actually listen to a nutritionist about food recommendations and find what works for you. Pasta may not work for everybody. You may have some issue with digesting grains. So you need to figure out what works best for you. So, yeah. Martin asks, I'm 50 years old, not a candidate for SF, but appreciate the efficiency of the side stroke. You know what? I've had a lot of, older folks learn the side stroke that were competitive triathletes. And reason why they had to learn it is because say they hurt a shoulder, whether it was from years of doing freestyle or they crashed on their bike and now their shoulder's all jacked up and they couldn't do freestyle anymore. So they used that hurt shoulder as the bottom arm, just did the little slight skull and then used the full top arm like a freestyle pull. And they were able to still continue doing triathlons a little longer. Just did it on a side stroke or a CSS. So there's many uses for it for sure. Mindset question. Is it normal for a successful candidate to question whether or not he can make it through selection before actually getting to phase one? Yes, it is absolutely normal. It is normal to wonder if you've worked hard enough. It is normal to wonder if you're going to be good enough. It's perfectly normal to wonder if this is actually what you want to do. We all want to do something until you have to go do it sometimes. And whenever you are getting your ass kicked, you have to have a really good reason why you're doing this. And you have to have an answer, because when you do ask yourself that question, you better have an answer that says, hell yeah, I want to do this. This is the only thing I ever wanted to do all my life. And I'm not going to quit to do it. That's the kind of resolve you need to find when you ask yourself these questions. Perfectly normal too. However, I will say this, you won't think about those questions if you really think about competing and being your best. The old saying, I've used many years is you'll never think about quitting if you think about winning. And for officers or the leading petty officer or any boat crew leaders at Buds, there's another level to that too, is you will never think about quitting if you think about leading. And I got this idea the other day when I was at the Naval Academy talking to a whole bunch of candidates going officer. One of the leading officers that were there, SEAL, active duty SEAL, reminded me that, you know what? I didn't really think a lot about quitting also because I was worried about a couple other things. When I was a boat crew leader, I was worried about all my guys and, us being able to perform together as a team and, working together like that. And then when I was the class leader, in charge of the whole Buds class, I was worried about getting us from A to B with all the right gear, all the right on time. And being able to perform in that manner and still lead by example, by crushing stuff. So there's a lot of things that can change the thought process of you performing at Buds or any spec ops selection. And they have to do with really that internal dialogue you have, but also how busy you keep yourself worrying about your buddy. You will have a swim buddy. You want to make sure he is crushing that with you, able to hang with you. If he's nursing an injury, you got to be respectful of that. And you might have to go a little slower for whatever reason, but it's not your job to, leave him in the dust and, shit can him, whenever, he's just having a bad day. You get through it together. If you get hammered at the end of it because you lost, big deal. You get hammered at the end of it. But you did it together. So that's been my mindset and recommendations when I talk to folks going. Do you believe it's entirely possible with flexible schedule to get a 9-minute swim starting off with 0 swim? Oh yeah, absolutely. I had guys that couldn't finish the CSS and got them down to like a 12-minute. So they actually completed a 500-yard swim in like 12, maybe 13 minutes. And then I started, instead of doing the 50-50 workout, I started doing the 25-25 workout. So it was 25 free, 25 CSS. And that went built into a 50-50. Then you go into a 75-75, 100-100. In fact, I will put that workout in the comment section here because it is a classic. In fact, I think I even put it in the description as well, because it is just one of those things that if you're kind of like starting to learn the stroke, that's the first thing, is technique. Once you learn the stroke and you're able to get it in like 50 to 55 seconds per 50 yards, now you need to get in shape to be able to maintain that 9 more times, which will get you somewhere between that 8:30, 9-minute zone. So I get everybody in my pool swimming swimming an 8:20. That is my minimum standard, is an 8:20. And I've had guys come in here at a 10-minute and 3 to 4 weeks later fine-tune some technique and then got them in swimming shape with that 50-50 workout, and they were swimming 8 flat. So yes, a year is very much so possible. You will ruck mostly in the Green Beret Army SF training, but they do have runs as well, the 2-mile run, 5-mile runs. My suggestion is be at a 6-minute mile on 2-mile runs and be at a 7-minute mile for 4 to 6 mile runs, because you will do those for sure, but you will mostly ruck and learn a good rucking pace is recommended. Is there a benchmark time you suggest to achieve before shipping? 4-mile timed run and 2-mile swim. Yes. What rock are you living under? Check out this article. It's a whole list of benchmarks. I'm going to put it here in the description below, or in the comment section. And this is my assessment tool for everybody getting through these type of selections, not only for 4-mile timed runs and 2-mile swims, but also for lifts and calisthenics, where I recommend you be before you show up at boot camp or selection process. Because if you can hit these numbers, you will not be anywhere close to failing. These are well under the minimum standard, and you don't want to be at a gut check to hit these numbers either. You should be able to hit these even on a bad day. So 4 mile time run, just to quickly answer this specific question. 4 mile timed run in 28 minutes or less, 2 mile swim with fins in 70, 75 minutes or less. Yes, sub 9 for the PST. So yeah, that article's been out for quite some time. Hey Stu, when you learn how to swim, should you start focusing on freestyle first or just focus on CSS and learn freestyle over time? Good question. If you're just learning how to swim, my suggestion is go get swim lessons from someone who knows how to swim and start with freestyle, because chances are most people don't know how to teach the combat swimmer stroke. They may know how to teach the elementary side stroke, because that is one of the 5 strokes. But I would take lessons, learn the freestyle, because that's going to teach you body position. It'll get you in a little bit better swimming shape. Then learn the CSS, because there are things that you can pull from the freestyle that apply directly to your CSS, like that top arm pull and breathe portion. That part of the stroke is the same as the CSS. Only difference is, instead of coming out over the water, you're going to pull that bottom arm to inhale underwater, and then you're going to recover underwater after a kick. So yeah, I would learn how to swim and then transition into CSS. What's good time for 3 mile run? I usually hit 26 minutes. Well, if you're asking a Marine, he's going to say, or she's going to say, you know, anywhere between 18 and 21 minutes. Maxing the Marine Corps PFT is an 18-minute, 6-minute mile run. So we actually, back in my day, at SEAL team, we had a 3 mile timed run instead of a 1.5 miles, and everybody was working hard to get 18-minute 3 miles on that. And that's after an 800-meter swim, pull up, push up, sit ups, and then you run a 3 mile timed run. That was kind of like the SEAL PST versus the BUDS PST. All right. Also, what's the time difference between a 2 mile fin swim in open water as opposed to a 25-yard pool? Turning every 25 is monotonous. Yes, it is very monotonous, and it sucks. You know what? As long as you're swimming straight, it is pretty similar. The turnarounds actually slow you down with a pair of fins. They don't speed you up. When you don't have to turn around, you can just keep on swimming. You have a pretty good set of momentum going in the water. There will be some tides and currents that can affect your swim pace going one way and then coming back. It might make you faster. Kind of equals out. So the way it'll work, you'll swim 1 mile one way and you'll turn around and come 1 mile back. And regardless, you're probably going to be swimming with the current and then swimming against the current, or vice versa. Or you may have some tides that are pulling you left and right, which can really add to your swim time. So you're going to want to make sure you're swimming straight. And usually the way you want to do that is like every 5 or 10 strokes, you want to look up and guide, and you should see that buoy, you know, in front of you. If you can't see the buoy, get a landmark right behind the buoy and see if you can just pop up and see the landmark in front of you. So there's different situations, but for the most part, yes. Most of my guys are like 75 minute in a pool, and they get out to BUDS and they're hitting 70, even breaking 70 in a 2 mile open water swim. All right, hey, let's do this. I've answered a ton of questions. I got some more, it looks like, but before we do, let's go and do a CSS critique like the title says. So I'm going to share my screen, go into window. Let me know. All right, you guys should be able to see this. All right, so we have guy kicks off the wall, really good streamline, good, decent dolphin kick. A little bit awkward on the turn. Do you see that? A little bit awkward on the turn here. Didn't slow him down though, so he's got that for him. That's a long glide position. So top arm, okay. So see this very long, he holds this glide position for a very long time. Nothing wrong with holding it for a little bit, but let's count the Mississippis of his glides. So he's got 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, pull. That's good. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3. So he's got 2, 3 Mississippi glides here. And what's happening is it's causing him to slow down. Now that was, you would think that was very efficient. Let's do that again. You would think that was very efficient, and it was, but it was slow because he was losing momentum primarily in that glide right here. This glide position right here is not as good as the glide with both hands over your head. In fact, this is kind of like the elementary side stroke where you glide in this position. It's called the lead arm, trail arm glide position. And this is done using the elementary side stroke. You can get pretty efficient with this, but I think it's causing him to slow down a little too much. So he's gliding too much. You can see he slows down every time he holds these glide positions. And probably what he could do is hold this glide position a little longer and hold the other one much less, like just a second. In fact, normally it's like top arm, bottom arm, then hold the glide. So you're not even, let's see here. So good streamline, good kick off the wall, good double arm pull, transitions, doesn't lose any momentum. Like that glide position right there doesn't need to be that long. Instead of being underwater in this position, your face should be already out of the water. You should be starting your inhale now. Let me show you where you're starting your inhale. You should be turning right now and your face should be out of the water inhaling, but you're still exhaling. Inhale. Yeah. So anyway, it's the timing issue with the double glide. You don't see this very often. That's why I wanted to bring this up is, so I thought that was kind of interesting. So as a double glide problem, I think I have another one also that I just downloaded this morning that's pretty good. I'll come back to this one. Let me answer some questions. Treading water. Help my 56-year-old helps for running. Yes, it saved mine too, Steve. I love it. Treading water and then running in water. Also doing all your old dynamic stretches that you would do before sporting events, butt kickers, leg swings, side to side, front and back. Saves your hips, man. I'm telling you. If you have bad hips or your hips are just tight, get in the water and start treading. I do it all the time. In fact, every swim workout I do, and I do multiple swim workouts every week, is I'll spend 5 or 10 minutes just treading, and that is my warm up or it's my cool down. Either one. You can put it on either end and it still works. Let's see, if we have no access to a pool to start learning how to swim, would a lake be a good start with safety precautions? If so, how would you go about timing yourself? Yeah, I would just stay in water that's not over your head. Timing yourself, I would just put a watch on it. I mean, if you can swim parallel to the shore and it's kind of a straight line, mark out 50 yards on the side of a lake or a beach, whatever, and just swim back and forth from one flag to the other flag, time it, and see if that works. I've done that a few times. We're lucky that we have a pretty straight beach here on the Chesapeake Bay, and it's pretty shallow. In fact, I've even taught people how to swim in that because it's only 3 feet deep. Unless you get out like 100 yards, then it goes over your head, but it's a pretty shallow area. So if you can find that, yes, I think that would be helpful. In the long run, if you're preparing to go to buds, you're going to be swimming most of your swims outside the pool anyway. But to get to buds, you're going to have to pass a swim in a pool, and learning some of this techniques in a pool, like proper kick off the wall, proper streamlining, proper pullouts, stuff like that, will help you tremendously with that section of the training. Okay, do I advise against ruck running and running with weight carriers? And can running on sand or turf mitigate the effects of knees on the body? Yes. It's just different. You can still ruck very fast, and even break 10-minute miles, even, and not be running the way you would without a weight vest. The only problem where people have is if they are continuing to run the exact same way they would run without weight, then they're running with weight, because that is a ton of extra force on your knees and back and feet that will inevitably probably cause some injuries. That's the only reason why I would say don't run the same way you are rucking. So, what's the difference? Obviously, a power walk. A walk is too slow. A power walk is probably going to hit you just under the minimum standard. So when I power walk a mile, and this is just walking with a purpose, I can probably do like a 14-minute mile. But when I shuffle, and that's a really short, they call it an airborne shuffle. It's a really short stride run. So basically, if you're running like this far, you're cutting your stride in half and you're just shuffling. So you got a higher cadence, higher RPMs basically of your feet hitting the ground, but a shorter stride, which keeps the weight kind of over you versus reaching out a little bit too far. Just helps with stress, impact stresses. So what I would suggest is short stride shuffles, and see if you can get that down to like a 10-minute mile pace. So I wrote an article. In fact, it's called "What is a Ruck?" Let me see here. I think this is an older article version of this, but it has the 3 different uh, speeds of rucking in it, and it works really well because you need to have a strategy when you're doing really long rucks, because you're not going to run 20 miles with a ruck. You're going to do shifts of walking, power walking, shuffling, mix it up and figure it out, figure out your total pace, because you want to be fast, but also you want to be able to catch your breath, but still be moving. So there's some strategy things that you need to learn. And if you can learn these 3 paces that's in that article, that'd be very helpful. Great question, though. But yes, I prefer sand, turf, grass versus pavement. Even dirt roads are better than pavement. Good question. Additionally, for those who want to come train with you, what application should we fill out? There's not really much of an application. There is a questionnaire, but if you go to Heroes of Tomorrow, in fact, I'll put it in here right here. Heroes of Tomorrow. Let me see. heroestomorrow.org. You will see about our program and what we do. There's a little video of me explaining about it, but also our schedule. We work out 6 days a week, a couple hours a day. And they're free workouts. I donate 12 plus hours a week to people who want to serve. And you guys give me ideas to write about, so everybody wins. Hey Stu, 23 years old, 5'9", 375, former college football player. Damn, that's a big fella. Plan on being an Army Ranger in the future. Nice. You know what? I've had a few guys actually lose over 100 pounds and become Army Rangers before. In fact, the most I've ever seen anybody lose weight is 150 pounds, and he did it in just over a year. So give yourself some time, because at 5'9", you're probably going to have to be below 200 pounds to meet height weight standards. And yeah, you know what I would do? I wouldn't ruck at all, because you're already rucking. All right, you're rucking with a lot of weight. So I would just walk, and then I would spend probably 2/3 of my time doing cardio focusing on non-impact cardio. So bike, elliptical, rowing, swimming, something like that. So treat your training like a triathlete, where you walk for a third, and 2/3 of it you'll pick more of a non-impact cardio. But you can go for hours a day walk, because you literally need to walk your ass off in order to lose that weight. And you'll lose it fast. If you got weight to lose like that, you'll lose it fast. And being a football player, you're strong enough to handle some of that. Just don't start running right now. You'll hate yourself if you tried to run at that weight. I'm talking long distance stuff and pavement and things like that. Try to focus. If you go out walking on softer ground, all that will be helpful to your knees, shins, for when you do start running. But yeah, man, good luck. Let's see, from your experience, do people get med rolled from buds due to stress fractures, or are they expected to suck it up and continue? They will get rolled and not necessarily dropped. The thing is, though, here's the secret to getting med rolled and staying in the program. Don't fail anything, right? Don't fail 4-mile runs or 2-mile swims or obstacle courses, because the more of those that you fail and have to make up to pass and just be borderline pass failing every week, the less chance of you getting rolled for an injury. I got rolled third phase, had a knee injury right before the island, but I had never failed anything. Well, I take that back. I failed drown proofing because my knot tying line came off of my ankles. So I failed that one. But I passed it 10 minutes later when we had to take it again. Just tied a better knot. So that's what I recommend. Just be a good student and you'll get rolled. We've had some guys get rolled for stress fractures, very serious stress fractures, like femur stress fractures, that were rolled for 6 months to let them reheal, and then they actually finish buds later. We've even had some guys get surgery, and they kept them there, let them heal, let them go back in. So it's really depends on your ability to be a really good student. If you have any failures in your record, you probably won't get afforded many chances to stay in the program. All right, Stu, 23.5. I think I just answered this one. Yeah. Let's see. If someone was prepping long-term for FBI, HRT, what series of your programs would you advise them to follow? We've had a few FBI guys go through our program here. They were FBI agents that trained to go to their local SWAT branch and then on to HRT. We've had a couple successes too. And these right here are ideal, especially if you're going long term. This was exactly what we did for those folks that made it. The spring, summer, and fall, winter, because you're going to want a good year-long program that addresses all the elements of fitness, because in that year you're going to focus on strength and power, speed and agility, flexibility, mobility, grip, muscle stamina, and cardiovascular endurance in multiple modes. You're going to run, you're going to ruck, you're going to swim. Now, for the FBI, probably don't need to worry about swimming that much. You can save that time for whatever you have later, maybe work on another weakness, or you can use it as just a recovery cardio. Like I mentioned earlier, it's not a bad idea to have an extra non-impact cardio that you're capable of doing, just to still maintain your aerobic base without all the impact. So, all right, I got a few more minutes. Let me do this CSS real quick. And if I miss your question, just DM it to me or leave it in the comment section. All right, so here, notice this kick off the wall right here. I personally like to have my biceps on my ears, my hands back here like this, one hand on top of the other like this, versus holding it like this. because this is not as fluid as looking like a torpedo. Okay, so right there, that's probably one of the major problems I think the swimmer has, is he could be a little tighter on his streamline position, but he's doing it in 45 seconds. So he's actually pretty good. He's got a good double arm pull, comes up. Now notice when he recovered his arms, that if you notice this, unfortunately he's facing away from us, but you can see how far away his arms are from his body when he's recovering. You want to be tight recovering those arms up your body. You should feel your hands on your torso recovering versus being out here, because the further you are out here, it's like putting on the brakes when you swim. That's the only thing he's doing wrong. Like I said, it just kind of slows him down just a little bit. But like I said, you can't argue too much with the results, because this ugly streamline position is still getting him a 45-second 50. He just has a really strong breaststroke kick. So just one more time, so we focus on the pull. Like I said, tighter streamline, good glide position. He's gliding for 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, pull, 3 Mississippi's perfect. Notice this bottom arm glide. There's no bottom arm glide here, but this is so much faster. That other guy was hitting about, if he just turned around and gone back, it'd have been over a minute video. This is a 45-second video. So taking out that second glide will speed you up, and it was still very efficient. So I highly recommend getting efficient, working on your streamline a little bit better. But that was the only thing that was really wrong with his. Sorry, I left that banner up there. But yeah, that was a good one. And so here's, well, by the way, he did that in 45 seconds pretty easily. However, when he did a second one, it was like 52 seconds. When he did a third one, it was like 55 seconds. So what's his problem? Conditioning. He's got the stroke down perfect. So he is a perfect candidate to do the 50-50 workout that I shared earlier. And I guarantee you, if he does that 4 to 5 times a week, focusing on freestyle fast and then catch your breath with a CSS for 1,500-yard workouts, he will be 8 flat in 3 to 4 weeks. And right now he's swimming about a 9:40. He's just conditioning. All right, so I'm missing out on some of these questions. I'm terribly sorry. Got too many to answer, and I have to go. I have to be somewhere at 11. I have to go. I apologize. You guys can go to StuSmithFitness.com, save 20%. Thanks for listening. But resend your questions. If I didn't answer them, send them to me at stu@StuSmith.com if I missed them, and I will answer them. Or you can DM me or leave them in the comment section, and I will answer them whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. All right, folks. Sorry I got to bail. I appreciate your time. Until next week, we'll see you later.